Hi there, welcome to Rain Coast Diesel. This is the DT360 that I picked up a couple weeks ago, and the plan here is to do a swap into my 1973 Ford crew cab. That'll probably take a little while. I think in the shorter term I'll have this in the garage and I'm going to go through it, fix it up, make sure it's good to go. It's supposed to be a runner. I saw a video of it running anyways. So I suppose the first thing I'll try and get it running, and then we'll go from there and figure out how the whole rest of the swap's going to go. It's honestly probably going to be a long time before I get it in the pickup there. But I've wanted to do this for a long time, many years since I had that truck, and finally getting around to it. So I never see these for sale in this area at all. I think in 8 years of casually looking, I've seen once before one for sale, just a motor alone. All the other options would always have to be getting a medium duty truck and then pulling the engine and scrapping the truck and all that. That's it's just a lot without a ton of time or space to do it. So this came up over in Langley and I jumped on it. 2,000 bucks Canadian. So I think a pretty good price, especially since it's already got a custom built stand and casters and everything. So perfect for me to just take, offload, put in the garage and not have to deal with scrapping a 5-ton truck in my driveway over the winter. Wife will appreciate that, I'm sure. So what I know about it so far, it's a 1990 model DTA, so originally intercooled, and it's the 185 horsepower model. It's got a Bosch A pump with 9.5 millimeter plungers, and I think the rest is pretty much just what you'd expect. I think that's all there is to know, really. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is just clean it up, probably strip down some of these accessories and wiring and stuff from the old truck, whatever it was pulled from, and see if I can get it running again myself. So nothing is known about what it came from, like what vehicle or how many miles, but it's a runner and I think that's fine. Fine for me, a good starting point. And you know, if it turns out there's blowby or something like that, I can always do an overhaul in the garage. So just another fun project. My plan here is to make a video series that just follows the swap and kind of fix up and modifications of the motor here. I still don't know what I'm going to do. You know, I'd like to put a P pump on it, look at the turbos, turbo or maybe 2 turbos. We'll just see how it progresses. And then in terms of transmission, I know I'm going to do a manual. Not 100% sure yet if I'll do a ZF6 with the Carson adapter kit. That would be nice, but it's so expensive. And then you're stuck with the one clutch. So I do kind of like the idea of going with a fuller 6-speed or other medium duty transmission. Maybe the Spicer 7-speed. They're pretty heavy though. So we'll see what happens with transmission and engine mods. And my plan, yeah, is just to video as I go and make a bit of a series out of it. And it could take a long time till it's done, but I think it'll be fun. All right, so I think I'm set up here to do a test run finally. It's been a few days. I did strip all the wiring harness off, cleaned up a few things, got rid of all the old hoses just to clean things up a little. And I also took this, the big huge radiator hose off the bottom of the timing cover here. Made myself a little plate with 3/4 NPT and just put a ball valve to a garden hose so I can fill the block with water. I'd like to have it full of water when I run it. Took off the fan, mechanical fan and belts. So yeah, none of that's going to be in the way while we're trying to run the motor. Just the fuel supply and return going into a little bottle with some diesel there. Battery set up. I checked the starter, it's running. It took me a while to figure out at first. I assumed that it was grounded to the block, which every engine I've worked on before is, but it actually turns out this starter has a ground on the back of the starter. So as soon as I figured that out, it was turning over. And actually I just noticed this is an oil pressure sensor tube. I got to get a gauge on there or I think it's going to spray oil everywhere if I get this running. So I'll take care of that, and then I'm gonna try getting it started. All right, I think I'm ready to give this a go. I've got a block to cover the intake in case I get a runaway. I made sure there's oil in it, and let's give this a try. It's probably gonna need a lot of cranking, but we'll give it a whirl. I don't have enough battery power. All my batteries are messed. All right, after a couple failed attempts with either dead or not powerful enough batteries, I got the battery out of my truck. Okay, we might get somewhere. All right, so my issue was just dead batteries the whole time. But that started up basically instantly as soon as I had it cranking, so that's good. I'm sure the fuel system just needs a prime. So it took a couple of minutes of pumping with the little manual pump on the side of the fuel pump. It just felt like it was air and nothing was happening. But after a couple minutes, I could see fuel started flowing. So should be at least partially primed now. That's great. She's a runner. So when I ran this the other day, I forgot to check the blow-by. So I'm just gonna start it up again and have a look at that and see if we can learn anything about wear and tear on the engine. Hopefully we're good, and then I can just proceed. Like basically no blow-by. So yeah, all in all, I think the blow-by looks really acceptable and barely nothing. I can't even feel it with my hand. When I got the engine, the guy also gave me this cooler full of parts to go with it. And what they are is parts that he stripped off the front of a DT360 to get parts that would help for a Serpentine belt conversion. So let's see what we got here. Definitely I had a quick glance and there's a few goodies in here. Looks like we got a pulley tensioner. That'll come in handy. And then, oh yeah, that's nice there. So that's the balancer, which I'll want to adapt to the DT360. And then I can get rid of this monster here, which is a pretty common conversion for people to do because this thing's just enormous and takes up a lot of distance out front here, right? So the Serpentine conversion will help us shorten up that distance significantly and get us the clearance we need from the radiator. So I just unloaded the transmission that I got for myself there, had it shipped across the country. It's a Eaton Fuller FSO 8406. So that's the 6-speed with overdrive. The ones that are quite a bit harder to find. It seems pretty easy to find the non-overdrive models, but this one has overdrive, so I jumped on it and talked to the guy. It all worked out, had it shipped for about 1,500 bucks Canadian, including the price of the transmission, him packing it up and taking it to the freight forwarder for me, and the shipping all the way across the country. So I felt like that was a really good deal. He said it came out of a Freightliner with, I think he said around 250,000 kilometers. So not too bad, should have lots of life left in it. And it was missing the tag, but he did promise me it had overdrive. And I've just checked out the part number on the input shaft, confirms that. So I probably won't do anything immediately with this. I'm gonna put this in the garage and save it for later. All right, let's take a little look at this truck I want to put this engine in for the swap. It's a 1973 F250 crew cab. It's an F26, so 4x4 original. I've had it for close to 10 years and it runs and drives. I've had it insured at various points in the past just for fun, but I generally don't use it very often. I would like to fix it up to the point that it is something where I'll drive frequently. And what have I done to it? Quite a bit over the years. I put a Ford Sterling 1025 in it and had to modify the spring spacing and perch width to make that fit on the highboy narrow frame and narrow springs. But that's been good. It had 373s in before on a Dana 70 someone had put in, not original. So these are 410s, which is good just because I got 37-inch military tires, which I love, by the way. And this box, the old box, actually it came with a logger's box on it. And then I got a short box from a crew cab that was just really rusty and bad shape. But then I got this one from a guy and it was basically rust free. I had to do a few tiny repairs, but it was for a wide frame. So I did modify the bolt holes and everything to fit the narrow frame. I did put Super Duty seats in, mounted them extremely low. Otherwise, your head's basically hitting the roof. So that's important. I'm pretty tall. So I know a lot of people just slap them in and then they sit so high, it's ridiculous. Unless you really work hard to get them as low as you can. These back seats I gotta lower. They're too high. I'm not happy with that. I got the bumper off here because I was starting to chip away at doing lift springs on the front, just the 4-inch Pro Comp ones, Super Duty. And on the front here, my highboy cross member was missing. I'm sure it got bent and messed up in the past like they usually do. And so this one was missing, but I've built my own. It's basically the Battleborn style. I just fabbed it up myself. So I'm gonna get that on with those lift springs. And then I'll probably do a shackle flip in the back. The truck has a 460 in it. It's not original. It was originally an inline 6. I think previous owner or a couple previous owners before put this in. It works and everything. They did kind of a hack job, like the motor mounts and stuff are pretty sketchy, but it does work. and has been fine for me. I've never really done hardly anything to the motor. I don't really care about it because I always knew I'd put a diesel in it. And it's one of the smog era 460s, so nothing exciting. It's got a hell of a lot more power than my old IDI that I had before, 7.3. The other thing with this truck is the paint. Previous owner did paint it black, and but they didn't do any proper prep or anything, so after several years the paint all is just peeling and you can see the original red coming through, and so it's just a mess. So definitely would like to get this painted, even if it's just a DIY. Body wise, this truck's pretty decent. The new box really helps, and but the cab is okay, but it's not the greatest. It does have the drip rail rust. It's kind of covered by paint, but I know if I was to scrape any of that away, it'd probably open up a bunch of holes like Swiss cheese, as is super common on these crew cabs. I do have a spare cab that I picked up in nicer condition, so I'll swap that in, is the plan anyways. One really nice thing with these trucks is that they have a divorce transfer case, an NP205, so it's perfect for a swap like this where I can use a two-wheel drive transmission and not have to worry about any kind of adapter to a transfer case and whatnot. So the other little goodie I got for this truck is this guy, 78, 79 Dana 60 axle, which needs a little bit of work, but so I've been chipping away at getting this ready as well. Somebody had modified it to work on a Chevy. I don't know if they ever actually got it installed, but so they cut off the original spring perches and then put these ones on. So I'll have to cut that off and get that kind of back to stock, as well as the shock mounts. Those are cut off and gone. So I'll have to figure that out. I had the one bit of work I had really done to this was I took off the hub on this side and spindle and everything, and rebuilt that. So I gotta get the other side off and get that together. So new brakes, bunch of new seals and everything. And this one also has 355 gears, so I gotta change it over to 410s to match the truck, and that's the ratio that I want as well. So I think that's all there is to say right now about this truck for the swap, but I think when I'm done it's gonna be a really sweet truck, and I'm looking forward to it a lot. So I know one of the things I want to do with this engine is put a P7100 in. I don't have one yet, but just for now, taking apart the stock pump and getting that off and just starting to have a look at things and the adapter required to see if I can build one myself or if I'll have to buy one. So I got the injection pump off, the A pump. That was no problem, pretty straightforward stuff. You just got to remove the intake and injection lines and connections to the pump, obviously. And I was able to verify that the timing was set at stock, which for this engine is 19 degrees. And you use the lines on the harmonic balancer and verify that with the viewing port here against that needle there. And on this hub, which goes on the pump here, there's a line right there. And when that is in line with the needle, you're at top dead center on the pump, which I found to be the case at 19 degrees on the engine. So that was all at stock. I'm sure it's all original. The one thing I found was getting this hub off. I did need a puller. I couldn't pry it off without a pulling tool. And I just had to grind down these wings to make it fit under, and then it popped off without too much force. One other thing worth mentioning before I take this adapter off is there's actually a scribe mark. If you take all the dirt away here, you can see these scribe marks. So from the adapter to the pump flange, and just to verify that's present. And so if I ever want to put this back together and run it stock for whatever reason, I need to line those up. So what I want to do next is get this adapter off and start to have a look at how it's made and what the features are on it, and compare that to what I'll need for a P7100 and see if I can make that myself. So here's where I've gotten with the adapter so far. Off the pump, and been measuring a lot for this pattern here to copy it. Got it into the computer, had this water cut just to confirm my template accuracy, and this little Delrin spacer just turned to keep me concentric. So if I slip that on here, the dowel pin will locate it, and yeah. So it's good that this dowel pin is off just a hair and a couple of these holes. So I'll adjust that, and then now I know I have this pattern. So that's a great start, but there's a lot more to it. I still need to get the pattern from the bigger pump for these holes to mount it to it, and there's a bigger hole in the center, so deal with that, as well as figure out the right thicknesses for everything to have the right offsets to get the timing gear in the right spot. Then there's also a hub that'll be needed. So the pump hub, so the P7100 has a much larger shaft than this, and so the taper here, so I got to make a new hub. I won't need the wings, but I need to copy some of these dimensions to get the timing gear to go on the same, and then so that it can mount on the different pump. So I do have a pump that I'm using as a mock-up for a larger pump. Like an idiot, I accidentally bought a P3000 thinking it was a P7100, so don't do that. I realized very shortly after buying it that I had screwed up when I saw on the name tag the 110 there. That means 11 millimeter plungers, and I know that all the Dodge P7100s had 12 millimeter plungers, which is what I want. And anyways, the P3000, so it's a bit smaller plungers, a little bit less fuel, but it's very similar. So I'm just going to work with this for now. I'll get a 7100 later. I've just been patiently waiting to find one for the right price in my area. But I think that it's either the same or very similar to a 7100 in terms of the mounting flange. So I'm pretty confident that the shaft here is the same, and this flange. So I don't know if these face bolt pattern is the same, but I'm sure it's going to be similar. So even if I make my designs with this pump and then have to change it later, the concept will be mostly there, and I'm sure mostly correct. So I think the 3000 comes with two shaft sizes. There's a big and a small. This is the bigger one. It's 30 millimeter, and I'm pretty confident that's the same as the 7100. So the A pump has a 20 millimeter shaft taper, so there's a huge difference in size between these pumps. A couple other ways to tell a 3000 apart from a 7100, even though they look similar at a glance, is the 3000 has a bolt-on plate on the bottom, and the 7100 it's just solid. I think there might be freeze plugs or something you can see on the bottom. And on the nameplate, these last four numbers, so it starts with a 3, that's for the 3000. That would be a 7 and some other numbers, 7,000 and something if it was a 7100. And then the 12 millimeter plungers is what you want to look for if it came from a Dodge. And the other thing is these barrel flanges. They're thinner on the 3000, so they'd be about twice as thick on a 7100. So you can see that by eye really easily and quickly. There's also kind of like a horizontal line across the side of the pump here, just under the nameplate, that's only on the 7100s. So my adapter, you can see, so yeah, bigger hole needs to go in there, and then the bolt pattern for the pump face. And I think it's that, I don't think any of this should be too hard. It's just a matter of measuring and getting it machined. And I've already done most of that. The hub is going to be a little harder, not the actual outer dimensions and everything and thicknesses. It's just pretty easy, just measuring. The part I'm not so sure about is the taper. That's going to be a little bit harder to get machined. And then in particular this keyway. So a keyway on a tapered hole. It's doable, but it's going to take a bit of effort. So the A pump did come with a Woodruff key in there, and as far as I know, I think the Dodge P7100s actually they have the keyway, but don't have a key installed on the trucks. People may put them in after when they do like one of those adjustable timing gears that you can buy. I want to put a keyway in just because the taper that I machine on the new hub, you know, maybe it's not perfect, so maybe it doesn't have quite as good of a friction fit. The key will just guarantee that it's not going to slip and lose timing. So I'm no expert in any of this. I've never had a DT, never had a P-pump before. I've never even done an engine swap before. I'm just a guy that likes mechanical diesel engines and old Ford trucks. But I do a lot of different other types of projects, and I'm looking forward to seeing what I can do with this one. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I am interested in selling the P-pump adapters. So if I can get that together, I'm going to get a website going at raincoastdiesel.com. So look there in the future for that and other parts. I already know there's going to be a few other things needed for the swap, and I'll try and get them up there as well. So I think I'm going to wrap this video here for now. I'll call it a bit of an intro to the project. Future videos, I think I'd like to break into different sections of the project, more specifically on certain topics. I know, for example, I got to finish this adapter, do the Serpentine conversion. I'd like to paint the engine. I may need a custom intake for the P-pump clearance as well. And that's all before even looking at getting it into the highboy. Separately on the highboy itself, I've got to do those Super Duty springs with the Battleborn style front cross member, and then I've also got that Snowfighter Dana 60 axle to throw in. So lots of things to look forward to. There's always so many things to do, and thanks for watching and stay tuned.